Hey, there's Megan. Hello. All the way. Hello, Megan from South Africa. How are you? How are you, Megan? Can you hear me? Oh. That's you just spoken. Oh, this is great. So we're going to start in just 1 minute. Beauty. So as we're waiting for people to hop on, I just wanted to say hello. I'm Dale, calling in from Chelsea, Quebec in Canada. I would love for you to share where you are at right now, where you are ringing in from. So if you could either type in where you're coming from, or you can put a shout out in, that would be great. I'm going to put my mic on so that I'm ready. Okay. Oh, Cape Town. Hello, Megan. Beauty. Very nice. We've got some Canadians in the house, that's for sure. It's so awesome. What time is it in Cape Town right now? Oh, it's 6. All right. Oh, so I'm getting you at supper time. Wow. Thank you for having your dinner with me. That's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and start. It's 12:01, and so as people hop in, we'll certainly welcome you. I just wanted to share some of my life with you, and nice. For the other sweet. You're always taking care. I know that, Megan. Trevor says hello, by the way. I am really excited to share with you today from the comfort of my own home. And you know, it's kind of interesting. My son, actually yesterday, he asked me what I was preparing for, and it was this morning, he asked me what was coming up and for the day. And I said, actually, today I'm staying, you know, working out of the home office today. And he said, well, what are you working on? And I said, well, I'm doing a webinar tomorrow. And he said, what's a webinar? And I had to think about it, actually, like, where did that name come from? And I was like, oh, it's a seminar that's on the web, the internet. And he asked me, actually, he said, so what are you going to talk about? And I told him, you know, I'd be speaking to some people who are, you know, in Canada and across the world. And when he asked me that, when he said, what are you going to be speaking about? And I said, I'm going to speak about being authentic. And I asked him, I said, do you know what that means? And he said, I think so. And I said, well, what do you think it means? And he said, Mommy, it's like, you know, when something happens at school and you're with your friends and you start comparing yourself to your friends and thinking that you should do something or you shouldn't do something. And he said, it's like when you make your own decision, you stop comparing yourself to your friends. I was like, yes, yeah, that's it. And so this, you know, it just was actually this great spark for me to say, this is so why I want to share this. And I'm only sharing because it's something that it's so dear to my heart about some things that have happened to me. So I just wanted to hear just from each of you, what is it that has you, when you want to be your authentic self? I just want you to just kind of share just by typing in, or you can voice in. I'd have to make sure I unmute you. But if you could just share, what is authenticity to you?
Hi, it's Tracy. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
I'm gonna do this. This is cool.
Can you hear me or no? Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, Tracy. Okay, Tracy's trying to speak. Let me see. Where do I unmute the hair?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, here we go.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, so Megan says it's listening to your heart and
I'm here,
getting that truth
Tracy.
even when
Can
it's
you hear
difficult.
me?
Beauty. And Tracy, now that I've unmuted, can you just try again? I want to see if I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Awesome. Oh.
Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Never can hear Tracy. Okay, yes, I'm able to hear.
Sorry, can you hear me or?
Let me just see.
Can you hear me, Dale?
Are you able to type in, Tracy?
Dale, can you hear me? This is Maxine.
Oh, I can. Okay, I can hear Maxine.
Oh, I wasn't sure because I was hearing, but I heard Tracy trying to speak, but I don't think you could hear her.
Okay. So Maxine, can you try? Tracy, can you try now?
Pardon me?
Is Tracy there now? Tracy, can you hear?
I don't hear her now, but earlier I was hearing her trying to get through.
Okay.
But I'm hearing you now clearly.
Okay. Beauty. Huh. Okay. So can everyone hear me fine?
Yes.
Oh, beauty. Who's that?
Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey.
Hey. And Tracy, can you hear me?
She seems to be gone right now.
Okay. So maybe she's out again. We've got Kim, Megan, Beauty. Okay. So often you just want to hear from you guys what you believe it to be. So Megan, you were saying that it's about listening to your heart and being that truth even when it's difficult. What else, you guys? It's just as before you go to speak, if you could just say your name and just share what you'd like to share, that would be awesome. Okay, so authenticity, I also look at it as the power of knowing and being yourself. Like just as it's just been sort of one of my simplistic ways of looking at it, just the power of knowing and being myself. Beauty. And you know, one of the things like starting to ask myself is I just started to notice some things over the time of my life where I found myself acting differently with certain people. And I wanted to know why. Have you guys ever had that? Have you ever experienced where you act differently in front of people and you're just kind of wondering, why am I acting different? Have you ever had that?
Yes.
No, I can't hear anything to switch it off.
Yeah. I'm just gonna do this. Beauty. And then you can, I've just muted all of us, and then you can just unmute yourself whenever you'd like to hop in, okay? And then how many of you have ever said yes to someone, a boss or a client or a family member, and it was a time when you actually really wanted to say no? Have you ever done that? Yeah, I mean, it just happens. And have you ever found that when you do that, when you say yes to someone and you really want to say no, have you ever found it like kind of exhausting trying to keep up with it? Have you ever noticed that? Like you're saying yes when you want to say no, and something in you is just saying that, you know, so powerfully. It's something in you is telling you that you're just really supposed to say no in this instance, but you find yourself saying yes anyway, right? Have you guys seen that? So I was actually, I've been really curious. I mean, some years ago, and it was about 6 years ago, I had said yes to something that I actually didn't feel really great about. And I wanted to kind of share this with you. Is it all right if I share a little bit of the story with you guys? Okay, beauty. 6 years ago, I had the most incredible experience where in our business, we've had a leadership business for 14 years. At the time, our kids were 6 months and 20 months and around there. And I remember actually looking at, so much was changing because our kids were younger and we just had our second. And I remember that at that time, and when you have something pivotal in your life happen like that, like having a child or having to, in ways you can question what you're doing. Well, at that time I was, and it happened like this. I was going still, my child was 6 months and I was actually still working. And so I started to work about a month after he had, not full time, but just a little bit, a month after he was born. And it was just kind of beautiful because people were in such an amazing time where I would bring him to work and I could have a coaching conversation or be working with a group and I could go feed him, he would sleep, and everyone was just so beautiful about it. And so, and he slept all the time, so it was super easeful, so I could do that. But I remember being in this group, and I remember it so well because I was there, and I remember sharing with them about actually being authentic, and I remember the reverb, I remember the echo back from people where people were questioning, like, how can I do this? How can I be this with my clients? How can I be this with my boss? I'll get fired. There was much more to it, but that's what they were generally saying, and I remember just thinking, wow, this is just not working for me. I've never had that where you're like, this just isn't working. This isn't it. And I was thinking that, and I remember I was questioning, what am I doing? Because I realized that I was convincing them or trying to prove to them, because at the time we had made a shift in our business. So I was trying to prove to them about why they needed to be more authentic. And in proving, what happens when you try to prove something to someone? What happens, you guys? I really need your help here. What happens when you try to prove something? What do you notice? Have you ever tried to prove something to a family member or a client, a boss? What do you notice? So for me, what I started to see was I started to watch people react to my proving. So I started to watch people, and this was their reactions. What it looked like was, no, that's wrong. No, it couldn't be. I could never do that. I have to do it this way. And it was almost like saying, this is the only way. There are no other possibilities. And I remember it so strongly because what I also realized is, as a person who had been known as a coach for some time, and at that point it was actually at the 9-year mark, what I noticed was people were looking at me for answers, but when I was sharing with them some insights that I had, they refused them and they weren't ready to receive them. And I just thought, wow, okay, this is amazing. I have insights and I want to share them. And they see me as an expert, but they're not ready to receive. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty common. I'm seeing it with my 20-year-old my 20-month-old. And I see it in myself where I will get some insights or someone will share an insight with me that I just haven't quite seen yet and I'm refusing it. And I was like, okay, so how do I shift this kind of relationship, this coaching relationship? How do I do that? And so this is what I wanted to share with you today. I wanted to actually explore how we actually fully express who we are. Because in that moment, what I realized, I was not being my true authentic self. I was there busy proving, saying, you guys have to get this. I didn't use those words, but generally that was kind of the sentiment. It was like, you have to get this. You guys, you need this. You're stressed out. You're losing sleep. You're having arguments and difficulties in relationships at work and at home. You need this. When you just so want someone to get it, because you know that on the other side, there's, I don't know, maybe there's peace on the other side, right? Maybe it is a little bit greener on the other side. And I had just experienced that and I so wanted it for other people, but then I realized that not everyone can see things the same way that I can see them, right? I know that we all know that intuitively, but when I watched myself really try to prove and convince, I realized that then I wasn't really expressing from who I was expressing from who I wanted them to believe I was. I wasn't expressing from who I was expressing from how I wanted them to perceive me so that they could believe me. Do you guys see that? And wow, was it ever flipping exhausting. It was so exhausting. And I see it with my kids now who have some different ideas of how they should do their homework and how they could do the dishes or not do the dishes. And I realize that I am convincing and proving and pushing, and it is exhausting. And I know that any time that I am in that place that I can't fully express who I am because I'm actually too busy in my head trying to figure it out and trying to find the right words that they will actually receive and change with. And that's exhausting, right? And so I just decided, I don't really want to be exhausted anymore. And I actually wonder, maybe what would it be like to live into this authentic way more where I actually am fully expressing my truth. But sometimes I wasn't sure what that was. And I just want to kind of go to what Megan just said, that in her experience, she said, in many different situations as a mom, as a coach, a teacher, a wife, I have to remind myself to meet them where they are at first. Meet them where they're at first. That's so interesting, hey? And that's a beautiful thing that we've some of us have learned, right? Is to meet people where they're at. That's beautiful. I am intrigued by something that I wanted to share about, like, how do we meet people where they are, and actually how do we invite people to play in the place where we're at, where they might see something different, as opposed to prove or convince them, right? And so I played with the meet them where they're at, and it's not a level thing, but it's more like almost I want to see what you're seeing and what I'm not seeing. It's just such a freeing place, right? And then I also want to invite you to play over here just to see what else is possible. But I also have found myself kind of conflicted where I won't do that. I'm too busy with the proving, and I'm too busy being busy that I forget to just fully express myself. And so I wanted ways to remember that. And I wanted to share something with you that I found super helpful, and it's just been a bit of a guide, and so I'm just going to share it with you that so that as we go through the next 45 minutes, you just might see how these resonate with you and where they connect with you. So one of the things that I've been guided by is commitments, and this idea that commitments are like agreements that we make. And when we're looking at expressing ourselves authentically, we are always making commitments, and some of them are external commitments. It's like as a coach, when I've signed certain contracts that will stipulate what my coaching relationship is like. And so that's one commitment, one agreement I've made. Sometimes they're internal commitments where I have set a goal to be happy, let's say, and so maybe I've not written it down, or maybe I have, but I have a commitment there, and I use commitments to center, to source from, as I want to express more authentically, because I just find it so freeing. My friend Maxine, who's on the call from Jamaica, actually said to me yesterday, which I found so awesome, and she said, it's just to remember that when you are sharing of yourself, no matter if it's in your work or as a parent or in any role that you play, that when you share from your own story, so you don't have to borrow from anyone else's. When you share from your own story, it's really easeful. You don't have to remember. It's yours, right? And so I just wonder how much we could do that, commit to sharing from our own sources, from ourselves. And so I just want us to look at this idea of commitments, because I find that it really guides me and resets. It gives me this ability to reset to what it's like to tap into that authenticity and the freedom that it creates for me, and the possibilities that it creates for me, in particular when I'm stressed out or when I'm stuck, because that's when I find I kind of go into my head instead of into my heart for answers. And when I go here, I go, okay, I've got to read the book, and I've got to know all the answers, and I've got to memorize this and that. And when I think about our conversation, Maxine, yesterday, I just think about how beautiful it is when we source from ourselves. And when I think of the juiciness of authenticity, like, I find it's such an exciting word. I love it because it represents to me that power of knowing and fully being yourself. I freaking love that. Like, that's so exciting to me. So so then to guide myself, I look at commitments, I look at agreements that I may be making subconsciously or consciously. And sometimes the commitments that I make are so deeply subconscious that I don't even know. And they take me away from my authenticity. And sometimes they look like this. I might make a commitment to not dancing in front of people because when I was younger, I was not a good dancer. Or maybe another subconscious commitment that I might make is to still the mind. So then I'm consciously or subconsciously looking for ways to do that. So sometimes these commitments, they're not bad or good. They just will guide us in different directions. And I think when we're authentic or on that journey, then we have the option to see the choices that we're making. Do they guide us to where we want to go, or do they take us away from that? So we've got these commitments that sometimes are, they're conscious and sometimes they're unconscious. And I'm intrigued by the unconscious commitments that we make that sometimes guide us in a different direction. And again, not right or wrong, but how do we learn from that direction and then decide where we want to go? And so another thing that guides me into being authentic is about attachment. And so I just kind of noticed how much, like even in me sharing this with you today, I continuously go through this struggle in a way, and I'm laughing as I say struggle because it's not really a true struggle, but it's sometimes a conflict where I so want to share with the world, but I only want to share just because I find it so infectious to be around so many amazing people who are conscious of how their impact and how they're elevating themselves and others. I just find it so exciting to know that South Africa is on the phone, Jamaica's on the phone, Canada, Kingston, Gananoque are on the line right now, Ottawa. Like, just how exciting is that? And so it just means that right now we'll touch each other in such amazing ways, and just the energy that we create here will actually be carried forward to the very next person that we speak with after this call. Like, I think that's amazing, just amazing. So then that leads me to look at things that I have attachments to. And one of the things that I've noticed out of the 15 years that I've been coaching, and I mean, I've just worked with the most amazing people. And when I say amazing, it's just because I've been introduced to so many people through isogenics and through coaching and through working in government and through visiting South Africa and Jamaica and I've taken little pieces from all of those experiences as we do to bring me to where I am right now. And so through all of that, through thousands of interactions and experiences through my work and through my life, I realized that I have some attachments, right? And sometimes it comes like this, where I notice an attachment is like this. And, we naturally attach, right? We attach to what we love, like our family members. And sometimes I attach to what I think I love, like my legs, right? Or my backside. And so then I might get concerned about when it doesn't match what I see, on the media, in the media, or on TV or whatever. And so again, I just want to look at attachment as when does it guide me to being my true authentic self and loving who I am, and when does it guide me elsewhere? Again, it's not right or wrong. I just want to be able to see that, right? Are you guys with me on that? Where you just want to be able to see it, right? They say that authenticity, it lingers. It doesn't, sorry, the authenticity doesn't linger, it just visits. Authenticity doesn't linger, it just visits. And I just think about that, this way of then having the visitations like be longer and longer and longer, right? Like, are you with me? Can you just imagine how sweet it must be to be in that place of visiting authenticity even more? In particular, if it has you bring out your truth, right? And just how freeing that must be. So this is just a call for me to want to visit it more, and I'm just hoping that might be for you guys too. So then sometimes when I notice my attachments, I notice that it guides me away from my truth, because There are times when my kids might do something, like jump on a couch. Have you guys ever had this where, if you don't have kids, but if you've seen it, where, or you've had kids visit your house, where they jump on a couch and it is their most perfect trampoline, and they are just like, the springs are amazing and my feet are loving this, and they jump as high as the sky and they are so darn happy. And as they come down, you know, so that their feet can meet the couch, my like frown is like, I can't even do it. It's just, it's so low, it's so deep, right? And I just think, wow, here they are in their authentic space, just so flipping happy. And I have this attachment to this couch, you know, and just thinking that, you know, we paid X amount of money for it. This is a true story. And that they've got 3 other trampolines in the house. And it's not that I don't believe that they could use it, use other areas, and I truly do. But I just noticed that just in that moment, I mean, I am truly expressing who I am, but I'm also expressing who I am from an attachment to a material thing. And that's been really striking to me, to see that attachment, and how, you know, I just wonder, like, what's it like to be free from that even more, yeah? And I just want to just kind of go to you guys just to see, when you hear about commitment and some commitments that we've made unconsciously, like, I don't know, maybe not speaking up in a meeting because I don't believe I have value, or perhaps looking at, you know, a boss or a relationship where you think you have less power or something like that. I mean, at some point in your life, can you see when that might have happened, and where then you might not have allowed yourself to fully express? Have you guys seen that? And I'm just wondering if you just, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, I could talk, but I don't actually want to talk that much. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts, anything that's coming up for you right now.
I have a budget, and so I was working with him on creative solutions, and that's when the idea of U Ottawa came up, because they do have a budget. So
Okay, so Deb, with your traveling lately, Deb says, we are finding and meeting many people who are losing those attachments to material things. Yeah. Yeah, I find it quite freeing, because I realize that the one thing about having those attachments, or not being aware of when they creep in and might take me away from that, I realize that I get sort of, sometimes I get trapped. I get trapped in, and when I think about being authentic, is again this juiciness of fully expressing, and I just find it's so relaxing. I mean, my heart just opens up like a big Care Bear, if you guys remember the Care Bear stare, right? And my shoulders relax, and I just find it so wonderful. I find it so wonderful. But I realize that the next thing that guides me is expectations, so commitments and attachments and expectations, and I realize that this is sort of related to attachments, that I also have expectations that are related to how I view the world. And again, not right or wrong. However, I think in ways I want to see how do I be with more possibility, as opposed to maybe just seeing, and I've got my hands just kind of guiding the side of my face. Like I want to actually widen my periphery, widen my worldview to see what else is possible. And so sometimes when I'm attached to some things, and it'll sort of teach me that that I've got expectations, right? And we all do, and I know that. But what it does is, in some ways, I notice that my expectations kind of lead me into believing that there's only one way to do things, and I've been curious about how that trap has stopped me, how it stopped me from being as effective or productive, if I can call it that, right? I'm just curious about that. And so here's an example what it might look like, that even my attachment to my children is so strong, of course. Like, I love them. It's just like how you if you've got pets, that your attachment to a pet is so strong, right? And then there are times when, you know, they go in and out of your lives in different ways, and I want to know how to be with love and be with the cycle of life, and like in every way. So I just think of I don't know. I think of times when even, you know, if I think of it, I mean, I can look at life and death, but I also can just think of life and death of an experience. So when I'm with my children and they tell me, no, I want to do it this way. And I just go, okay, but I'm so attached to, and I've got this expectation that they are to do it this way, and it is the best way to do it. And so I'm less open, and maybe I've got an idea that my way is better. And so I watch the life of my way kind of show up and all the fireworks with it and go, how do I release that attachment to that expectation, to seeing it only one way. And I find that just to be such a beautiful thing, just to be able to be guided by commitments and just sort of seeing what I'm committed to externally and emotionally, sort of internally. And then also, I really want to see about attachments and to just see, again, how are they guiding me, and are they keeping me in that place of what I think authenticity does, which is this sort of, it puts you in this place of a homecoming. You know, that way where it's like, yeah, this temple, oh, this is home. You know, that way where you're like, yes, this is it. You know, you're in a meeting and you fully express, and you do it in a way that gets everyone's needs met, including yours. And you're like, yes, well, that was so easeful, right? I just think, man, how could we do that more? I just want to go to what Deb had written. Deb has said that the older I get and the more I live life differently, the more I learn that I have to have it my way. It took me many years to learn this. Thank you. She said, it's so good for you tackling this early in your life. Yeah, you know, I watch different people that we touch, and I'm just thinking through coaching, I get be connected to so many different people. And I just think, you know, we can learn this, we can experience this at any time should we choose. And sometimes we can be taken away from that, right? And so I just think, well, you know, why not just do it now? Why not just kind of plan to jump in now, right? So here's the thing. One of the things I've noticed is that, sorry, if you guys can't hear me, can you just sort of let me know? I just got a little message saying that my internet connection is misbehaving. Didn't say it quite like that. The other one that guides me is what I will call hierarchy. I want to define what hierarchy is for me. And just so that you can see, again, I'd love for you to find your own word. So maybe instead of commitment, you would say agreement. It's whatever you find as your word, please use it, because that's how you'll remember and that's how you'll connect with it. So I'm going to call this hierarchy. Some people call it domestication. Some people call it militant style, whatever it is. This is another thing that guides me, because I wanted to know then, if I want to naturally show up as myself, then I want to be able to find ways to get back on track. Again, there's nothing wrong. I'm still moving forward. I just want to be able to see it more, you know, when I'm guided elsewhere. And then just see what my choices are. I mean, that's what you notice with attachment. You just go, what's your choice right now? And that's what I love about authentic practice, is then you just get to see what your choices are, as opposed to what might have limited us before, okay? So I'm going to hierarchy, because this has been a bit of the way for reset. And I just want to share hierarchy in this view is, for me, is just to say that there are times that we will do things are just in line with what society has told us. We will parent in a certain way because it's what we know from society or from our own conditioning, right? And so I just call that hierarchy, and it's just to say that it was sort of passed to us in a certain way, and we've again committed at a certain level. Do you guys see that? Like, there's just certain commitments we've made because this is the way that we've been taught, and so I just call that hierarchy. Some people call that a domestication, and it just means the sense of this is the way that we have inherited a way of being, and it's been a sense of homecoming for us because that's just what we've inherited. So again, please do find your word, but I just wanted to share that sort of concept of hierarchy where I will do certain things because that is what society says, and the reason why I will do them is because, well, in ways, the reward for that is acceptance, right? The reward for that is acceptance. And so what I notice sometimes is that even though that reward is acceptance, and maybe sometimes, maybe the punishment, I'm going to just use those words, it's not necessarily that, but maybe the opposite is then, if I'm not being rewarded with acceptance, I might I might be given alienation and or the thought of, and so I might find myself saying, oh, okay, that's the way that we do it, and so I will do it that way. What I notice as I'm building my authentic presence more and catching myself when I might be out of that is what I notice is more and more is that I sometimes notice a split between my ways of hierarchy, my ways of doing things that have been passed down to me. I notice a split, and it's kind of internal, right? So always that way. And so if you ever notice that split, then you might be in this place of what we call, and what has been called, call transformation, where it's not that you are completely divorcing of being a different piece of you is ready to emerge. And maybe when that emergence happens, there's also a piece of you that is ready to let go. You guys see that? Okay, that just came to you. That was just a download. Oh yeah, I love when that happens. Love it, love it. So it's like maybe it is of birth and death, right? Yeah. Megan says, so my expectations are limiting, especially in my beliefs of how something should be done. For example, my eldest son should be studying something. This is where I really have to trust that he knows differently. Yeah, I got a bit of I always feel right in my heart center, and as I was reading that, that just so resonates with me, Megan, because this is the whole thing. I want to be able to see different perspectives to allow other people to grow without being dependent on me, because it's exhausting. And so I want to know, how do I interact with others in a way that allows my beliefs about them to really shine, and not go into that old pattern of hierarchy that says, no, you should do this. And even though I really want the best for them, I also notice that when I'm in the struggle and in the fight, the proving and the convincing, that there's just got to be another way. There just has to be. And up to it, just kind of exploring what is the other way. Because I find like there's like three reasons to me why I think we don't experience that freedom of living authentically at times, where we go into that. And again, I'm not saying, so I shouldn't even say it like that. I was about to say when we go into the hierarchy, but I just want to show that how it might be limiting for me sometimes, only when I notice that inner conflict. I notice that split where I'm like, okay, I am doing it this way. Like, I do believe that education is fantastic. And then, but maybe, because we've made a commitment to education looking this way at this moment with our children, as an example. There are times when I'm conflicted, where I'm like, this isn't actually totally working. And, working is an interesting thing. I put it in air. It's not that they're not getting an education. They're in an amazing school. They're just, what I'm noticing is that the system that they are in is really, 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 really amazing for learners. And that goes back to, then I would say, our old pattern of believing that there's only one way to educate. I know there are multiple schools of thought and literally multiple schools for education. It just again helps me to see, if I just go to the context, again, we have been taught a certain way, and my hierarchical patterns of seeing the world will come out, even if I'm not believing that's the best way or the only way. Do you get what I mean? And Megan says, absolutely, but it can be very hard when they seem to sit around doing nothing. I know. Yeah, I know. Well, I know, and so this is the thing. So we know this again. We see them doing nothing. Again, just want to go, right? My beliefs will come up about, like even that label of doing nothing. I mean, we had this exact example this morning where, I had a belief of like, we've got 5 minutes to go. You hustle, you get it done. Like you go, you get it in, you write your word, you like to memorize it, you write the word, then we got to go, then it's toothbrushing, and it's washing your face, and it's brushing your teeth, and as I said, and then it's get your stuff, your lunch ready, and get in the car right away. And it was like, drill sergeant, go. There was my old pattern coming up again. I went to drill sergeant. I was like, wait, that's so not who I want to be. It isn't. And it doesn't mean like I don't have a sense of guilt or anything about it. It's just more that if I want things to shift and change, then I know that way of viewing the world will limit me. And I know that my way of speaking through the world will limit me. And so I just want to catch myself more. And I think one of the reasons, if we look at the 3 reasons why people don't experience the freedom, or when we don't experience the freedom of living authentically, of being that beautiful power of knowing ourselves and being ourselves, are when fear takes over. Right? Do you guys see that? Or doubt, or worry. Oh, I love the high five. That's so cool. Oh yeah, you guys high five me anytime. With you. That's so cool. And you also know that you can unmute if you want to chat. Beauty.
Hello?
Is that like you guys, I'm learning all this. This is so cool.
I'm just checking if you can hear me. It's Maxine. Can you hear me?
Okay. So Maxine, are you speaking?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, I can see you.
Oh, you can see me? Okay. But can you hear me?
I can hear you beautifully.
Okay, I'm happy that you're touching on fear, because for me, that's one of the biggest thing that you have to let go in order to be authentic.
Absolutely.
Because being authentic, sometimes you have to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the fear of being judged. And I know from personal experience, I was coaching someone who worked for me who was acting up in the workplace. And I knew that it was coming from, instinctively, I knew it was coming from a place of some family issue and hurt in her life. But I was being going through all the, the proper words and not connecting. And the minute I stopped, took a breath, and I let go of that, and I said to her, sometimes your life, what happens in your life does not have to dictate who you are as a person. And I don't know why, but in that moment, being authentic, as you say, sometimes it visits. It was visiting. And I shared with her that my dad went to prison, and I never shared this with a lot of people. And for some reason, I'm here sharing it with this troubled employee. And she looked at me, because I think she had me up there, and me sharing that my dad was in prison, and that didn't define who I was, because it had nothing to do with me, was a breakthrough. And she started to cry, and I knew nothing else about her. I was just going with my instincts, and my authenticity kicked in, and it was a breakthrough I needed. She started to cry, and she had the burden of having someone in prison, and I didn't even know that.
Wow.
And it was very hard, because it was actually her mom. And so this was really different. So she was going through her stuff. And because I choose to put my ego away and to just become real in that moment, I was able to do a big breakthrough, and was able to save this person, not only from losing her job, but I think I had a little part in her owning how great she was. And that's the magic that happens when authenticity visits.
Oh, that was yummy. Thank you for that share. Do you guys feel that? Thank you, Maxine.
You're welcome. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it
go
is.
hide
It
while
is
you
quite beautiful to start from that place. I find it just so rich because the more that you experience that the visiting of authenticity, it does actually it allows it to expand, right? And it is just so easeful, so much more easeful to speak from that place. But if fear or doubt or worry, you know, if those three sisters visit and believe them, we believe that we need to be full, and we believe that we need to doubt ourselves or need to worry about how we'll be received as an example. We might not just tap into that well, and I think that people so need it. I mean, it's so interesting to work right now and to hear people say, you know, I could never say this. I could never have that conversation with my boss. I could never do it. And I just think, wow, how are we in this place? But I get it, because that is what we've inherited. We've inherited this structure that says, you know, you speak a certain way with your boss or to your kids or whatever. And I know it's evolving. This is why I'm sharing this with you, because I think you're on this call because you're like me. You were, well, I mean, I also asked you to be here, but you know, I think that you might also agree, like in Maxine's example, where you elevated her to a different level that actually you couldn't have predicted. You can't go to the books for. You can't do that. They're just not. It's not in a book when you are yourself. You know, it's like you don't need to find the correct narrative there. It's so amazing. So in a way, you're living a mystery when you're being authentic, because it just doesn't exist yet. And I just find, when I was telling you the story about when I was with that group, I found it actually suffocating. And what it ended up happening, as I said to Trevor after that, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I made a decision that actually cost us a lot, because I stopped coaching, and that's with our mother. And then we ended up here now we're a bit my own path was, I ended up making decisions out of desperation, where I would sort of take work and go because I needed it, where I was dancing in this place of trusting myself that this isn't the way to be in a coaching relationship, because it wasn't working for me. I was actually starting to believe people when they said that they couldn't speak to their boss in a certain way, or that, you know, they have to do it this way because it's the only way to survive, or the only way to be relevant, or the only way to be seen, or whatever it is. I started to believe them, and there were times when I was like, no, Dale, you know that you don't have to change anyone, but you know that there are other people who also want to see other possibilities. You know it, and so you just have to figure out your way to find them. You just have to figure out your way. And so financially, we were totally upside down, because I was like, I can't. There's no way I can't, because I kept hearing the same things when I would go to you know, get to the contract stage, and I was like, wow, this is so counter to what it is to being real. It was so counter to it, and I just thought, I cannot. And so big risk that I took. I mean, big, but it was a risk. But it was even subconscious, because I was actually to finding authenticity more, but also committing to not having money, which was like this thing. It was an unconscious agreement that I had made, or commitment that I had made, and it was amazing, because it taught me a lot. I was big time. I was afraid to go to another potential client who would have me, what I thought was trapped in their way of seeing things, and then me doing things that didn't really meet my needs. And so I actually just said no. I just said no. And so this past 6 years has been huge. Our reach has just been amazing. I have been so happy to just share what it's like to live from this place more, and also the more that I share this way, I really do it for myself, because it helps me visit here longer. I'm going to tell you truthfully, that's actually why I share this, is because I want to visit longer and more often. And the more I hear you and read your reactions and your experiences, it means that I get to visit more often, and I get to visit longer. Like, how awesome. That means the power of knowing and being myself is right here, right now, and I love it. And I know that, again, my next conversation right at 1 o'clock is just going to be the high of being me because of you. So thank you. I really appreciate it. So what I want you to notice is just when fear, doubt, or worry, those three sisters come and visit you, and they'll sit on your shoulder and say, don't do it. Like, don't have that conversation. You know, don't share it. And so one of the things I'm going to leave you with is just to think about how to, and I've written this down and I can share this with you, what it's like to really commit to yourself. Because oftentimes we're committed so much to others, like we're moms and we're friends and we're sisters and we're aunts and we're grandmothers and so on, and we will commit so much to others, and it's so wonderful. It is so wonderful. And I've just noticed sometimes when I've done that so much to at the expense of committing to myself, and I know it, and this is the thing, is you can just tell when you're a bit, like, I'm going to just say offline, because when I'm committed more to others than to myself, then I'll feel that pull inside that has me just kind of want to say no, but have the thought that I can't because that's not what society says I'm to do. And so it's just when you do notice that, when you notice it, just know that there's just a part of you that says, oh my God, let's be awake to your total authenticity just here right now, saying, visit, pick me, open your heart, pick me and source from there. And so I just notice what it's like to commit to self. I want you to notice what you learn about yourself when you feel that inner conflict that says, oh, maybe, let me open the door, it's authenticity knocking. Okay, that's awesome. I thought it was fear, but holy crap, it's authenticity knocking. And so I want you to try that. I just want you to just try, just to commit to yourself. And so when you do, in those moments, when you feel that pull of that one way that says, oh, this is what society says, that's hierarchy, right? Talking. And anytime you hear words like, oh, I should do this, when you hear yourself saying it, that's just fear, doubt, or worry saying, you should do this. You're going to get in trouble if you don't do this. Hear yourself shoulding yourself. I love that it sounds like a curse word. Anytime you hear that, I just want you to just see what's going on, and just to see if that is coming from that world of hierarchy, and just see what it tells you that you're committed to subconsciously, what beliefs you're committed to. And then I want you to just restate your commitment out loud and to see what is it like to have a new narrative, a new story. So just see. And so then the next thing is then to just challenge what challenges you, because this is what happens when you want to visit authenticity more. You'll notice, you'll just become more aware because you're actually examining your thoughts now, you're examining yourself. And the examine self is just amazing because it will unlock parts of you where you're like, holy crap, I didn't even know I could feel something there. Like, that's amazing, right? Parts of you will dance that have never danced before, and you won't know what to do with it because there is no manual for it. Because you're living the mystery of authenticity. There's no manual. In the other world, there's a manual. It says, this is what you do when something comes up for you that you're not comfortable with it. Maybe squash it or hide from it. But hang out with me. Let's have a flipping love affair. And let's just see what happens. Like, who knows? And so that's what the call is going to be. The call is going to be for you to visit more. And you'll just notice because that inner conflict might come up, right? Yeah. So you're going to challenge what challenges you. You're going to challenge those voices, those three sisters, the fear, doubt, and worry. And you're going to challenge yourself to write that narrative that is now the mystery. And then aloud your new story. And it's just going to be like one quick line that becomes your new narrative. And you just go, oh, okay, like what does it do to fear, doubt, and worry? And I just want you to see what you notice. But then what's next is then you go, because as you journey on this authentic way, and you'll notice as you start to examine yourself more, like we've examined some things now and you've kind of opened up some things, but you'll notice that as you go through, you'll notice shoulds. You'll notice you saying it to other people, we really have to do this. We'll say should and have to. And you'll just notice yourself going, I'm not totally cool with that. Again, it's not right or wrong. It just shows you that you're toggling between those two awesome worlds, right? And you just go, right, this does serve me in ways because it helps me meet my need for acceptance when I do things where I think I should or I think I have to. But there's something in me that's pulling me. Again, it's that authenticity going, hello, I'm here, remember me, right? And so you just open the door and just say, what gifts do you have for me? But it means that things might come from your past because that's actually what hierarchy does. It reminds us of where we come from. And that's a beautiful thing. a beautiful gift. It might also bring up some things where you go, hey, I need to clear this one because this belief just doesn't hold up in my world right now, just in this moment. It just doesn't hold up. So then clearing the past is going to be so critical, right? Yeah. So it's like honoring your roots, but knowing that you can have, you just get this repeating history, or do you want a present story? Like it's just kind of a decision, and at some point you just look at, oh, what are my choices? Like again, no right or wrong. It's just like, oh, I want to be present right now. And so for that, I think it kind of takes just chuckling a lot. And it's like when the past comes up and you're like, man, here comes that should again. I could be so angry or feel guilty or feel shame or be embarrassed or whatever. But that kind of language, that kind of narrative isn't actually going to help me live authentically. That helps me live in those shoulds, right? So anytime I say things that actually keep me in that box of like, oh, you should do this. Even if I say I should be authentic, I mean, it still just puts me in a box. I want you to just totally free yourself of that box. And so in ways of like clearing the past, it's honoring it and also going, what do I want to release? It's that life and death. It's like, oh, right, this doesn't suit the story right now. It doesn't suit living the mystery and the openness right now. But you might notice that you'll find some trigger points and pain points. And so as you do, just look at what from those, right? So this is about chuckling a lot. It's like, oh, awesome. Oh, when I just said that should, you know what I really meant? I really meant I just choose to do this right now. And just friggin' laugh. Because we need that, because that's where the answers are. So as your truth comes up, just, you notice like you might have a language of shame or blame or guilt that comes with it, like I should do this. That's sort of some blame language, like, this is what I need to do. And if I don't do it, then I won't be a good mom or sister or whatever. That doesn't live in authenticity, because it doesn't allow us to fully express who we really, really, really are. Shame and guilt came from that old way of viewing the world, which is hierarchy, right? So again, what do we want to be committed to? And so then use that to pump up the present, to stay in the present moment, and to just notice how our reactions to the past might keep us away from this present, this place of visiting authenticity more and more and more. And so, my good people, I find that it's just not enough to just have, a conversation every so often. And so what I have committed to doing for my own journey of wanting to visit more is I've been intrigued by people often talking about tools, right? We're often looking for tools to, and I'm going to say in this example, maybe tools to be authentic or live authentically. And I just think it's not enough to just have a tool, but so important to be in a practice. But if we're not aware of how we think, language which comes from our thoughts, then is what we need to actually move and visit into authenticity more. And so if you are ready to have a love affair with authenticity where you can visit it more, I'm totally straight. I'm creating of beautiful women like yourselves, and what it looks like is there are 6 sessions of what's the actual practice of committing to self, and what is it really to challenge what challenges you. About the invitation, that like what is the actual practice, not just a tool, but how do I actually do that? It's one to notice awareness from being on a call like this, but what is the practice that I get into? Much like if you wanted to be healthier, like what's the practice that we do? What is the practice for that? We've done many things in our lives, real simple and beautiful ways that I'm so happy to share. And so if that does interest you at all, then what I am offering is a beautiful program of amazing women. And so I do thank you for, I know there's some of you who are on already joining, and it starts next week. There's another one happening in the fall, but it's 6 weeks. It's 1 hour once a week for 6 weeks. And what it is this way of learning about how we actually make change at a fundamental level, of being able to hear our thoughts and how to stay in the practice of that. It looks like when you practice really committing to self in this way. So what you'll get, it's normally $9.50, and I'm just sharing this with you totally straight. You'll get the six sessions. You'll get all the recordings, and you will get a 30-minute intro call with me, and also a 15-minute outro call to give you next steps to continue on. I want to share with you an ebook that I just wrote that it really does highlight about how and why we do get caught. So something that you could keep with you that helps you keep fear and doubt and worry at bay, actually, like ways to do that. And then also this reframing exercise. Oh, shame. Is poor. Thank you for sharing that. I'll send this to you too, Megan, afterwards. So all of this you get for $95. I'm only doing it for $100, and it's because I actually just want to be around really amazing people, and that's just the way. So if you would like to learn how to create a roadmap for this, I want to share with you what I've done in the past 6 years, and what actually today I was thinking about it while I was in the shower, thinking about you guys, and I was like, wow, this is actually what got me out of being, and I'm going to be very straight, $100,000 in some crazy debt, to trusting that I needed to do things in a different way in order to honor. And life has been quite beautiful, and it still is absolutely challenging. But if you are interested, I would love for you to. Oh, there is one thing I also need to offer. I also want to offer anyone who does sign up today 2 extra one-on-one time. And I know that might be a bit crazy, but I do want to offer it. So it's $375 usually an hour. Again, I'm really being straight about what it has been for the past 14 years. But I do want to offer that because I know how much every interaction, every conversation helps me visit authenticity more. So if you are interested, please do just at dale@theleadershipgroup.ca, and also you'll see that this link is just in the Zoom chat that you can also just go in and sign up today. And so that offer will be up. It's regular $9.50. It'll be $95 until tomorrow. So I will, absolutely. Thank you. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much. Oh, I just do want to share one little thing with you. It's 1 o'clock, but this beautiful poem called "The Invitation," and Megan may know this book or this poem. Trevor introduced me to it, my husband, and I absolutely love it. But there's just one part that I wanted to share with you. Well, 2. In this invitation, in this poem, she says, "It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow. Wow, I see it. If you have been opened by..." I'm gonna cry. This is so awesome. If you've been opened by life's betrayal, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain, I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fake it, or fade it, or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with the wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic. That's interesting to me. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can hear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. I love that one. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. And I want to know if you can be alone with yourself. I'm going to say that again. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I will absolutely send this to you guys. Oh yeah, there we go. Yes, it's right there, and but I will email it out to you guys. It resets me every time. You guys, I really thank you for being here, and I know I sent it out, and Trevor sent it out yesterday, and I just I'm so grateful, really grateful to share with you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments at all?
Okay, it's hard to speak.
Hi. But
Dale,
thanks, Dale.
this is gonna help me
This is gonna help
so much
much
in keeping those visits longer.
Thank you, Max. You guys, it's a treat to be here with you, and I love that I just read in that. It's like I've read that poem so many times. I read it yesterday. I read it this morning, and it touches me so deeply. I just love it. Yeah, you're so welcome. I am feeling so much love right now, and I thank you so very much for being here. I will share this on, and again, if you're interested in being a part of this, you're welcome to. And even if you're not, just know that just you being here has just been so rich for me, and I know for everyone else. Thank you so very much for just making it all like that we listen to see that visit greatly. I wish you an amazing rest of the afternoon. Love you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome.